In the 1950s, women were in the forefront of the teaching profession, especially in the elementary grades, just as they are now 65 years later. After all, teaching is working with children. Teachers then, as now, emphasize love of and commitment to children as the most important reason to get into the profession.
The connections with the kids, the joy that I get out of working with these kids. You know, if I didn't work with kids, I would have to work with animals, you know.
I love kids and I love teaching them.
And so showing respect to the kids, loving them, I think it's huge.
Except that there aren't enough hours in a day to do all that needs to be done.
Time is a huge issue for me.
Because you don't have enough of it?
Correct.
And fun has been replaced by rigor.
You know, what we needed to teach, we did through play, we did through themes, and now it's more just books and directing and teaching and, you know, not so much themes as much anymore.
Was it more fun then?
Oh yes, it was more fun back then.
Did
and they still learned what they needed to learn.
And the students have become more challenging.
I think that we have generations of children who have been brought up thinking that they are entitled to everything, that their opinion is all that matters, that they don't have to listen to anyone, that there are no consequences. And our hands are really tied, because it used to be if you didn't bring your homework, you missed recess, and you had to do your homework during recess. And now we're not allowed to take away recess because they don't have PE every day, and they're supposed to be doing exercise. And
Patty McDonald is a 5th grade teacher at Kyrene de la Esperanza Elementary School, grades K through 5.
I started teaching in 1972.
Natalia Rojas is a kindergarten teacher at Esperanza.
And I'm going on my 30th year of teaching.
Terry is a 3rd grade teacher at the school.
I have been teaching for about 20 years, 19 of them here in Kyrene de la Esperanza.
Terry says when she first started teaching, students had a morning and afternoon recess, plus PE twice a week. That has turned into one recess and PE once a week.
Nowadays, it's all, oh, do brain breaks, that's great. Well, if you add up all the brain breaks I have to do, I might as well take a recess and really let them get some physical activity, some fresh air, just get outside and get out of the 4 walls.
All 3 teachers tell me that every minute of their day is structured compared with how it was when they started teaching in the late 1900s. Patty McDonald says she wishes there was
time within our schedule that we can provide for those rich conversations where, okay, it's 2 o'clock, put your reading away, we need to get out our social studies and follow.
Did you feel like you had more time,
yes,
more leeway in the past?
yes.
And do you wish it were that, and you wish it were that case now?
I wish we had more time, yes, definitely.
Take a look at Patty's schedule. It is packed with instructional minutes. The teachers tell me they don't have as much freedom as they did initially.
And I definitely would put control back more in the classroom for the teachers.
This picture was taken 15 years ago. Natalia says kindergarten was more fun then.
I enjoyed the most. I think I enjoyed, you know, when I was teaching, you know, in a way that the kids were going to be more involved in having fun and just loving it, you know. I mean, a lot of what we teach right now is nice and they get it and it's more hands-on. I mean, it was always hands-on, but I don't know, it was just the enjoyment of everything that we taught, and when we taught it, it was still through all the objectives that we needed to teach, and so I miss that part.
Terry says the changes in teaching have mirrored a pendulum swing. When she began teaching in the 90s, the curriculum was all whole language.
I remember teaching one day and a student coming up to me saying, Mrs. Terry, are we doing social studies or math or reading? And I said, exactly.
Then she says the curriculum became more structured, and now the subjects are more integrated. One of Terry's students tells me how their social studies unit incorporates writing.
Writing like a book about the Civil War.
And I do think that that is an important change. It's more lifelike. It gives the kids a chance to apply their skills in a really meaningful way.
Another significant change has to do with discipline. There was a period in the 1960s where children were sent into corners when they misbehaved.
I do remember, though, making a student run a few laps around the gym because he forgot his homework. What was I thinking? I mean, how dumb was that?
Then came the timeout chair, which turned into the refocus desk for disruptive students. But discipline has evolved even further. A 2014 blog by Dr. Michael Gallagher describes how teachers today use various techniques to produce quiet spaces and quiet bodies. Now there are shark cards.
Richie a shark card for doing exactly what I asked him to do.
When positive reinforcement doesn't work, the common solution is to put a disruptive child up front, where the teacher can keep an eye on him. That technique did not work for Terry.
And I always had him close to me in the front, which makes common sense. You know, when you have a student who needs more support, you keep them closer to the front. But he was so distracting for the other students, and they have to face the front as well, that I was advised to put him in the back.
Terry is hopeful he will respond positively. She doesn't let the challenges get her down.
And I really didn't get into teaching for the perfect kids. You know,
the increasing amount of assessments and testing teachers are required to perform and keep track of these days is another relatively recent challenge.
So we do a tremendous amount of testing.
We have to cut down on one of our subject areas just to be able to get some testing done.
Tomorrow I won't teach reading. Because there's a few things still that my kids have not been taught for math. So tomorrow morning we'll have our regular block of math, and tomorrow afternoon we won't be rotating for social studies and science. We'll be teaching math.
How do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
What would you do about it?
Well, have, testing later in the year after you could see what they have mastered. So it's frustrating.
The new AZ Merit State Test will be administered online this year. As Terry explains, computers are what today's students are familiar with, and they are a welcome addition to the classroom. When she first started, there were 2 computers in her class. This year, Esperanza became the first elementary school in the Kyrene district to have a 1-to-1 ratio of computers to students. Now she has 25 computers and 2 backups.
This has been a huge change, and it's only been a few months, and I cannot imagine going back.
Communication with parents has changed significantly over the years. It used to be that a majority of the students' parents were involved in their youngsters' education. Patty says these days it seems as though school isn't as important.
In what way?
It's not a priority.
So
Sports seems to be more of a priority.
Does that sadden you?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does.
Do you see that getting worse as time progresses?
It breaks my heart to see some students in my room this year, and have been in every year, that can hardly read, and it's a gateway skill. And they're going to 6th grade next year, and it's not an emphasis at home. And the parent has told me it's not an emphasis at home. It's not important.
And how do you respond when a parent says that?
When a parent says that, there's just pity. I just feel bad. So I do all that I can here.
When I started, it was more like a note home. I mean, if you sent a note home with a kid, they knew they were getting in trouble. That was like, nobody wanted to bring a note home. That was the end of the world. Now I send home refocus slips with step 1, step 2, step 3, and parents, you know, sign them, send them home, send them back. And sometimes I have to send it home many times and email parents, you know, there's a step form coming home, and no communication about it, no comment about it.
It's here in the pickup line every afternoon that teachers wait with their students, handing them off to their parents. And it is here that Terry says she came to the realization that teachers are not as appreciated as they once were.
I think that maybe the appreciation for our dedication and for the sacrifices that we do make, because we go in with our eyes open. I went into teaching. Teaching was not a high-paying job. Teaching, I did not know, was this stressful, and it has gotten more stressful. But at least I do believe that the work I did and how hard I worked for children, even when there were difficulties, was much more appreciated. And I think that maybe is disheartening. That's the most disheartening thing and frustrating thing is, you know, I can't do enough for your children.
Yet they keep trying, the teachers of today, facing hardships just like the teachers of yesterday, who were interviewed in the book Images of School Teachers in America. Despite the pay, the long hours, the enormous amount of paperwork, and the lack of appreciation, Natalia, Patty, and Terry agreed they were doing what they were meant to do. A quote by J.E. Avent from 1931 is still applicable today. It reads, "The excellent teacher has much higher ideals than people in general. Otherwise, he could not be excellent."
I love teaching. I still would do it over again, you know, in spite of the pay, in spite of all the work. I still would, yeah.
I was always a teacher. I love it. And
Teachers put in a tremendous amount of time, summers off or not, and deal with a tremendous amount of stress, I think, compared to other professions. They really do. But you just have to go in with your eyes open, because there's also rewards in it that you can't quantify. And so, you know, I'm still here. I'm still here.
The world changed.